on the old YouTube. That's going to happen momentarily. I believe we are live, going live. We are live, and we are officially starting the show in 3, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to Comic Book Club Live. Please give it up for your host, Alex, Justin, and V.
Yeah! What is up, everybody? Welcome to Comic Book Club. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And we got with us live today. It has been ever so long, probably almost a year at this point.
Oh my God.
We got Giancarlo BoothMan Prime. Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's been a crazy day.
Yeah. So
Day.
just catch us up.
Day.
Are you Dunkin' Donuts married, or are you
Hold on.
real
You are,
married?
as usual, Pete came out. It was like, to get the other side. You're just jumping ahead to the punchline here. Giancarlo, first of all, welcome. So excited to see you. We have missed you so much while we've been doing the show virtually.
Honestly, hearing you introduce us is such a, my heart. I'm crying.
Yeah.
I haven't changed my Google kind of calendar, so every Tuesday I still get the Comic Book Club tech.
Oh, man.
You're like, oh, shit.
I gotta go. I do appreciate the fact that we still got you in a box over here, so everything feels very consistent.
Yes.
But as Pete was teasing a little bit over here, as you said, you had kind of a crazy day. Could you set this up? What happened to you, or what's going on?
Yeah.
Dana, what was that you said?
Dana, that's your girlfriend, right?
Dana's my girlfriend. All right, so about literally a week ago, last Wednesday, every Wednesday I talk with my comic book buddies, my buddies who I usually go to the store with every Wednesday. She's saying so geeky from the other room.
We are getting some calls to have her come and join you.
It's actually not calls plural. It's one call. It's just all caps. Very shouty call in the comments from, I don't know who this person is, some random lurker.
She's busy right now. She can't come. But,
she's busy.
She's busy. She's doing stuff. She's got her own stuff to do. Literally, I was talking, since I can't go to the comic book store every Wednesday, now me and my buddies just chat every Wednesday for like an hour. And we were sitting there, and I hear my girlfriend Dana scream in the other room, right in here, because I was in the other room. And she comes rushing into the room because Dunkin' Donuts was doing a contest on Instagram where you could submit to enter this contest to possibly win the chance to be able to get married in February at a Dunkin' Donuts drive-through.
What a venue.
Who would want to do that?
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be free donuts, right?
I mean, in COVID times, it could be kind of rough, so why not? So here she comes. She's got no pants on.
Hey! Look at that.
So we both made a post on Instagram to Duncan explaining why we wanted this. And then the deadline, the judging phase was today, and we found out we are one of 3 winners.
Holy shit. So wait. First off, this is the most Boston thing in the world. Yeah, it's happening in New York City, which I consider a victory. We snatched that one from Beantown.
If they had not limited it to New York, there would have been so many entrants. But the fact that it was just New York State gave us a shot.
Yeah,
So
you won against several Affleck brothers. So congratulations on that.
So what I don't know if you know yet, what happens at a Dunkin' Donuts wedding?
So we're still waiting for more details. We literally found out that we won today. And it would happen next Friday.
Friday?
Holy shit.
Friday.
What?
Not this Friday. Next.
Okay. Oh, that's
so
fine.
much
That's plenty.
time to
So much time to plan a wedding.
Yeah, I was engaged for a week too.
And you got married at a Wendy's drive-thru, right, Alex?
Carl's Jr.
Carl's Jr. Oh, sorry.
We had it in California.
We couldn't get Arby's, huh?
To kind of go through, but I have to go get a haircut. I have to buy a suit.
Don't you change.
Don't you change.
Don't let Dunkin' Donuts change
I'm also
you.
just trying to figure out the thing here. Is it that donuts look like rings? Is that what's going on?
Alex, don't look too hard at the sun. Don't look at the sun.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were thinking in terms of putting this out there, but I'm grateful for the opportunity.
That's the right answer, my friend.
Oh, man. That's amazing.
So exciting.
I love this. And I love that you're here for the show. You're going to hang out for the whole show, which we're very excited about. So I'll tell you what, we're going to invite our first official
Real
guest.
quick, though, would you mind grabbing me a medium coffee, just black? I don't want just...
I'm going to be really upset if we don't make it out of this wedding with coffees in our hands. Like,
Come on.
Be like, hey, congratulations. Here's one donut.
Someone's throwing sprinkles instead of rice. I'll guarantee that.
Yeah, maybe Boston creams. That would be gross. All right, we're going to invite our first guest in here. He is the creator of a very successful Kickstarter, among other things. His name is Sal Abbinanti. The name of the project is The Hostage, and we're about to hold him hostage to get some information.
Oh, wow.
no.
Yep.
Wow.
That's right.
Probably shouldn't have said that. But this is a great project. You've probably seen him around at comic conventions back when those were happening quite a bit because he runs the Alex Ross and Bill Sinkwich booths. He's an art dealer there. I'm sure we'll chat about that. But The Hostage project is really fascinating. And as soon as he works his way into the stream here, we will chat all about it. I'll also mention you can check it out, as mentioned, on Kickstarter. Right now, as usual for our show, this is a ridiculously successful Kickstarter already, but we'll give it that little bit comic book bump.
Yeah.
Right now, when I last checked, it was at $34,000 from the $25,000 goal. So
nice.
Cool.
That's what you call a stretch goal, my friend.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this show is all winners.
Oh, boy.
Cool. Very cool, Alex.
Yes, thank you very much.
No problem.
How are you doing while we're waiting for Sal to cut into the stream, Justin? Oh, here he is. Never mind. I don't know.
Hey,
sorry, guys.
Sal. Oh,
I've been working on it like for the last 5 minutes.
All good. How are you doing, Sal? Good to see you.
Good to see
Great to see you. Wow, you're living in some sort of New York memorabilia place.
I found I used to live near an old guy who moved from New York who used to paint subway stations. So he's like, hey, I'm throwing these out. You want them? And I was
want every street sign I can think of?
No, he was throwing them away. So when you're single, you collect all kinds of shit. And
married, I'm so jealous. All I got are these Christmas lights and this Miller High Life sign.
Right.
That's all I got.
They look good here because it's the only place my wife won't complain about them.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So normally in a normal world, and correct me if this is the incorrect title, but you're an art dealer, right? Like you deal with Alex Ross, Bill Sinkwich, a couple of other artists. But now you're doing this Kickstarter project, which is amazing. We'll show off some art in a second. But was this lockdown, was that the impetus for it, or was that something?
No. I started as an artist. I worked in advertising, and then I couldn't make enough money at it. I got sick of Top Ramen 3 times a day, and trail mix and Jello, and I just couldn't make enough money at being an artist to actually have an existence that didn't involve sleeping in a gremlin. So I worked with Alex at Leo Burnett in advertising. We knew each other. He asked me to help him out. One thing led to another. That was 20 years ago. But I've always been an artist. Mm-hmm. So this just kind of happened. I've been grinding away at the Hostage for like the last 10 years, but COVID kind of put a complete kibosh on all the trade shows and everything. So I had more of a chance to finish it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this has a pretty interesting impetus, a reasoning that goes back to, I think it's when you were 25 or something like that. And taking a trip.
I went to Brazil to have a good time and drink, and I thought it was going to be a Fred Astaire movie where it was just on the beach and it was, the Bain de Soleil commercial. And then when I got there, it was a whole different story. I mean, it was all that, but yet you run into these homeless kids everywhere, thousands of them, little kids, all under the age of like 10 years old. And the street gangs, and there's this whole, and it just, some things you can't unsee. And I couldn't unsee these kids. So when I failed miserably trying to get into Marvel and DC. I mean, I wanted to go in the front door and draw Devil Dinosaur, and they were like, "You're out of your mind," when they saw my work. Your work is too disturbing, they told me.
Oh.
I stood in every portfolio line and they were just. So when I knew I wanted to do an indie project, the most important thing with an indie project is find something you got some leverage on, some emotional leverage that you can deliver better than anybody else, because you got nothing to lose. I mean, most people don't buy indie books. Comic stores shy away from indie books. They're like cigarettes at 7-Eleven. They go with Newport, they go with Cool, they go with Marlboro. You're not going to find a lot of.
You can't find the Devil Dinosaur cigarettes like you want.
You could never. You don't. Right. You do, but they're usually the first ones.
Hey, you got a pack of fucked up cigarettes I could buy?
That's right. But no, I knew I wanted to do something that was not just guys in capes, because you had guys that did that really good, and I wasn't one of those guys. So I knew I had to take my style and kind of do something that was more personal.
Yeah. Cool. Well, talk about the specific pitch for this book, because it's such a fascinating, gorgeously drawn book. I'm curious to hear how it ended up being tackled this way.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. The title?
No. Just the whole idea for the book, the artistically how you approach it.
It's a real personal project. It's something that I wanted to do that I just felt that, look, I knew my stuff didn't look like anybody else. And that's a blessing and a curse. I couldn't get arrested, at the companies, at the main publishers. So finally, you just have to resign yourself to say, hey, man, I'm the leper with the most fingers. I can't do anything else. I don't know what else to do. This is the only way. I can't draw, Scooby-Doo. So I felt this was, and I kind of resigned myself to that idea at a certain age. But again, I wanted to go in the front door, but it just wasn't going to happen. So,
but it's beautiful work. I mean, like, I hate to hear you talking it down, especially when we're seeing it on the screen here. It's really
I'm content with what I do. But when you want to play shortstop for the Yankees, and you just, and they tell you, what are you, crazy? You have to.
You're throwing around a human head instead of a baseball.
You're gonna pivot and do something else and still be an artist, or you're gonna just, keep or give it up. And there was no way I was going to give it up. So I just said, you know what? I've got to put my money where my mouth is and put out my own book. And indie titles are tough to get comic stores and to get comic fans to buy into indie titles. I mean, they're there. The indie crowd is there, but there's a lot of loyalty in comics of people that want their characters.
Sure.
So what's the pitch for the book? What's the pitch line, if you can?
It's basically it's the homeless kid. It basically deals, the hostage is a metaphor for it's loosely based on the boogeyman, which there's a lot of offshoot amalgam type religions in Rio and in Brazil that came from the slaves and came from the indigenous tribes of the Amazon, and they have these boogeymen that protect children and protect them, evil spirits, from murdered children. And so it kind of that was kind of the basis of where it came from, where these kids, when they're murdered, and they're being murdered every day, but thousands of these kids are getting killed a year because they live on the streets. I felt that there was something there that I wanted to tell a story without patronizing the narrative. I didn't want to go, I know, I'll use homeless kids and then have a Ghost Rider character. So I knew I needed to kind of find something in that was true to the culture of Brazil. And there's a lot of voodoo and a lot of these kind of offshoot religions that exist there that I based the story on.
So it sort of feels like you went drew the content toward your style as an artist to have this story that went into this sort of darker stuff, but was still evocative and from from Brazil.
You start it one way and you don't really necessarily see it that way, and then you look back on it and you go, man, when you let it breathe for a little bit, you do realize it's kind of disturbing, like they told me, but there's really, you get to a certain age and you are who you are.
But I also, to your point about indie books versus like mainstream superhero books, like, yeah, it's harder to like get people to take a chance. But I do think once people do start to take a chance, it really stands out. And it's like, you got to read this book. Like this art is like, it feels, just looking at it feels like you have that dream element, and you're like, sort of, it sticks with you when you see it.
Well, thank you. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you're into comics because you love it. If you're doing it for the money, forget about it. If you're doing it because you think you're gonna run down the street and girls are gonna throw underwear at you, it's not gonna happen. You know,
I'm pretty sure that happens.
Well,
I'm pretty sure that happens.
It's like it's either
COVID.
I believe comics are either in your blood or they're not. You know, you really have to love this stuff. So that was my main motivation. Was I had to stay in comics. I was able to eat because I was the main pimp for Alex and Bill. And that's a great way to make a living. But as an artist, it's not terribly rewarding. I wanted to always be an artist. I didn't want to just be, the guy with the polyester suit at Sears. So I knew that I had to continue to draw.
Yeah.
I always keep a pair of my underwear in my pocket in case I see a comic book artist.
Some get underwear thrown at them, but you know what I'm saying. With comics, you really got to get into it because you love it and you want to do it.
Well, when I see you, I want to say I'll see you at 179th Street in Jamaica Center. I'm going to throw a pair of boxer shorts right at you.
Right.
We got a question here on Crowdcast for you, actually, Sal. Sal, are you still doing Atomica?
Yeah, Atomica was another. It was a cruder attempt at me trying to channel more of my love for Kirby. I put out a book called Atomica, got as read about 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was really just me drawing what I would have done had they given me Thor and New Gods, and I played with the Russian kind of Soviet superhero thing. And yeah, I think so. I mean, right now it's all about the hostage, and this Kickstarter thing is like an 800-pound gorilla. I mean, anybody that wants to do it, I recommend doing it, but it's a lot of work. I mean, you've got to be willing to really go to bat for it, and you got to be aggressive, and you got to hustle, and you got to nag people. I mean, you feel bad because you're always, constantly asking. But, I also felt Kickstarters, if you want to put a book out or you got a product you want to put out, it's such a great way to deal with the public directly. I can actually show you some pages, have a little video to explain it to you. Whereas when I put out Atomica, you put an ad in Diamond and you waited to see what happened. You waited to get your orders. And if they were in, they were in. If they weren't, they weren't. You'd go to Midtown Comics and you'd say, hey, how come? And they would tell you to get lost. And you went to cons and you set up in Artist Alley. And then if you sat next to the guy, Lacey Underall from Caddyshack, nobody bought your book because they were too busy staring at her tits. So I thought I got to have a more direct way,
Yeah.
Classic story. Classic comic book story.
No, I mean, Artist Alley is getting diluted by so many other things now that if you're really there as a comic creator, it's tough. You've got to, you've got to make the most noise and you got to try to get it out there. So Kickstarter's cool in that sense. And I saw what Billy Tucci was doing and Jimmy Palmiotti and Brian Polito and the guys at Aspen. And they were like, it wasn't about just, hey, we need the money. It's about, hey, let me see if anybody really gives a shit about this. Let me see if there's any traction here. So you can get more of a straight response if they loved it or hated it. And I can live with that, but as long as it gets a fair shake. When you go through Diamond, you don't always feel like you're getting a fair shake.
Right.
I do want to ask you about the topic of comic conventions, and obviously nobody knows what's going to happen in the future, but given that you do make your primary living off of that, has there been any talk of what potentially comic book conventions are going to be like in either the near future or the far future at this point?
I have every confidence they'll be back. I have no doubt in my mind that this time next year, Reed and everybody will be amping up for 2022. I don't think we're going to see anything this summer. I think fall at the soonest, but I think we'll be back with a vengeance. I really believe that. And I'm not just blowing smoke. I think that we want them to come back, but cons, we need the confidence. You need to be able. Cons are all about bullshitting and shaking hands and talking and hey, how are you? What are you doing? And 2 hours to use the bathroom at the Javits and
it's my favorite part.
And that kind of thing. But until everybody's all confident with what's going on, I don't see it happening. I mean, not this summer. I mean, the Reed has already talked about having a show here in Chicago next December. Which why you'd want to come to Chicago in December? I have
no.
No.
Well, to be fair, the wind will blow the COVID all the way out to the lake.
Well, no one's going to come because it's like the beginning of the thing, when the Swedes are chasing the dog and they're shooting at him, and you're going, oh, that poor dog, and then you find out later on why they were shooting at the dog. It's because they came to Chicago in the wintertime. I don't know. I mean, what they're thinking. One, it's 2 weeks before Christmas in December in Chicago. Yeah. I mean, why don't you just say, hey, you got to cut yourself with a razor blade to get in on top of it? And then they're talking about going to the Javits, that same year. And you're like, guys, the Javits right now is like a MASH unit, and you want people to go in there and go through quarter boxes. It's not happening this year. I mean,
I think you're right. Yeah.
I think probably Emerald Con next spring will be the one we talk about. That'll be the first show of the year, and we'll be talking about Emerald, and we'll be talking about MegaCon, and then we'll be the build up. Now, a shorter answer. I mean, who's gonna go? I don't know. I mean, I know I'll go, but I don't know. I mean, how much TV, how much movie is in the pipeline for you to go pimp it at San Diego? I mean, so much production is all down right now.
Well, but I do think they're backed up so much, and I think production's moving forward no matter what at this point. The boys just started shooting this week.
I hope so. I mean, I miss San Diego. I miss San Diego. I miss doing. I don't miss the Javits, but I miss New York. I mean, the Javits is.
Well, let me ask you.
Let me tell you about the Javits. The Javits is so bad. I had to go to where the tow lot to take a shit when I went to because the bathrooms downstairs were like Sen High School. They were like literally like my high school.
Yeah, I know you're slagging it off.
I'm like, guys, this is a world-class city with a world-class convention. You don't have a bathroom.
100%.
I know you're slagging it off a little bit, but the only place I will take a shit is the tow lot at the Javits.
I had to lie.
Wonderful.
Say I came here to get my
Beautiful
62 El Camino and lie. And I go, I'll be right back. Can I use your bathroom? And I ran in the bathroom and I came out and I go, did you got it? He goes, we don't have an El Camino. And I said, all right, I'll be back. And I ran back into the convention hall. That's how
good scam.
Smooth.
Now, as a Javits pro, we talk a lot about the food because Pete over there loves the barbecue on the lower level of the Javits Center.
That sounds like a mistake, Pete.
Yeah.
Okay. No. I mean, God bless you.
Yeah.
What do you eat at the con?
Wait, I just want to mention for anybody watching on video, this is actually a prior recording of Pete. He died 5 years ago.
Yeah. We just keep laying in the same clip week after week.
But the question was, what's your?
But I don't like that. But the Javits leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
And when you go out there to get a cab, it's like the fall of Saigon. When you're out there standing on 10th Avenue. Yeah. You're standing out there, and it's like, who are you guys kidding? You got to walk to Times Square.
Gotta walk. Gotta walk to 8.
Gotta walk. Yeah.
I love talking about this. I could talk about this forever, but just before we let you go to get back to the Kickstarter. So it's going for another 23 days at this point. Is that right?
Yeah. We're doing it for a month. It just started. And so far I'm over
congrats, man.
Really, really well. I mean, we're already funded to publish it. So I'm very excited, but it looks amazing. You had to get lots of stretch goals in there. So I got Alex Ross and Bill Sienkiewicz and Jeff Darrow and a few other guys, Eric Powell and a few other guys to do these great pieces for me to kind of help, pull more people in and give them more perks. And I'm very excited. I didn't really expect it, or you go into it ambitious and think it's going to be cool, but you never really know how it's going to go.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sal, so great talking to you. We'll see you at Emerald Con, hopefully, sometime next year.
Yep.
Guys,
1
anything
year
you
from
need,
today.
anything I'll tell you where the toll lot is if you need it, but don't
Yeah, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Well,
Take care,
definitely,
Have a
Sal.
great night, Sal.
Guys, I really appreciate
Make an
it.
app,
Yeah.
Sal. Every con. It's call it
Amazing.
Shit Starter, and it'll be where you go to the bathroom at any.
I'll tell you what,
Oh, man.
that's terrible, and I really hate it. But thank you for suggesting.
I mean, it's
guys,
not a bad
let's get Sal Abbinanti. The project is called The Hostage. You can check it out on Kickstarter now. And I'm going to invite our second guest in here. Great guy, very funny writer, really smart writer, too. He is the writer of Dear Justice League for DC Comics and All Ages, a book that is really fun. You should pick up if you have kids or if you don't have kids. He's also contributed to Flashbacks, a new anthology that has just come out this very day, edited by none other than Mayim Bialik, PhD. And he has a sequel to Dear Justice League called Dear Supervillains that is coming out pretty soon. So we'll be chatting about that as well. While we're waiting for him to come into the stream, Justin,
Alex, I thought you timed it perfectly so that they'd come in right when you finish saying it.
No. How are you doing, Justin? How's it going?
Wow, this feels like a hangover question from last time. But let me say, I'm doing great.
Yeah?
Yeah, normal. I guess normal. I mean, fine. I'm not great, but like just surviving. I mean, I'm suffering in a lot of ways, but just trying to get by.
Giancarlo, how about you? You married at Dunkin' Donuts yet?
No follow-ups?
Not yet. We got a week till that, which I'm sure, like the rest of the year, is going to feel like a month.
But I feel like at a drive-through wedding, you don't have to get the shoes. You know what I mean? As long as you got like the top part on, you could get away with just like having some Pumas or something on. Nobody would know.
Do you get out of the car?
We're not entirely sure if it's like, are we in a car going through a drive-through? Do we walk through a drive-through? Is it at the Dunkin' Donuts and just not actually in the actual drive-through?
You're like just in the parking lot, you're saying?
Yeah, like we're waiting for more information here.
Yeah.
Now, let me say, I worked the Burger King drive-through for 1.5 years in high school, so I have a lot of experience when it comes to drive-through stuff. So let me know if you want any questions about like where cars stop and where the window is and stuff. Like I can really help you through that stuff.
We're gonna have to commit to the drive-through thing from here on out. So any other life events,
I know that's really going to be
birth of the drive-through, die of the drive-through. Those are the two other events.
I've got a couple drive-through funerals this weekend. It's going to be really great.
Oh, that's sorry for your loss.
They're at a Carl's Jr. actually.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Here, wait, keep talking about this. We're going to try to invite Michael again.
All right,
keep talking about this.
Giancarlo, what I want to know is, did you propose before this Dunkin' Donuts thing happened, or because of the Dunkin' Donuts thing?
Oh, we'll find out after this because here's Michael.
Way to build the drama.
Now I want to hear this too. I want to how this works.
So right now there has been no proposal, and she's like, "You better start thinking quickly because you got about a week."
You got a week to put it together. You still haven't
There's
proposed.
nothing more romantic than inviting her over here on the stream right now and proposing to her on our podcast.
We'll give her own separate box in the stream, which is very generous, and you can propose that way.
I've got some ideas, but I have about a week to figure it out. So
okay, good. Well, we have a show next week.
Next week, so if you could, yeah.
Think about it.
Michael, welcome. So excited to have you here. So excited to chat with you again. You've got a lot of compliments on your shirt. First of all, what's going on your shirt?
I got the Hall of
Doom. Excellent.
I mean, this is the real tragedy, right? We have all our shirts, and we do not have any cons to wear them at, right? It's just,
it is tragic.
I wear it around the house. I get no comments whatsoever. Right? Like I just nothing.
Honestly, I get the opposite of love when I'm wearing my geek shirts around the house.
So let's talk about Flashbacks, which is out today. Super fun anthology. You wrote a story involving Kid Flash and Flash that comes a little later in the book. The thing that I think that I was very surprised about from the title and everything, I was like, oh, okay, it's going to be an encyclopedia. I get it. But it's not that at all. It's actually like superhero stories that very sneakily work in STEM stuff, right?
I mean, yeah, that was the idea. And definitely that was my whole point the whole time is just to make this seem like you're reading a comic book, and it's like, oh, wow, I just learned a ton about global warming. Like, how did that happen? Right? Like, so, but I mean, there's a lot of actual information in there. So, the idea is to make it seamless, but you probably know you're being educated at some point. But it was just super fun. I mean, ultimately, right, like I was writing Weather Wizard, who I was obsessed with for like a solid year as a kid. Like Weather Wizard is super cool. And so like I did the global warming, Arctic ice melting one. And so like Weather Wizard was just kind of a gimme there, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, just like you're not helping Weather Wizard, right? Like, and and so it was just super fun. I mean, it was just an opportunity to write a character I've always been. I mean, Flash and Kid Flash, that was cool too. But like, I like the villains, right? And Weather Wizard was one of those ones that just like especially when I was little, just really fascinated me. And that's like maybe because it's like telekinesis. It's one of these things where you could almost think that maybe you do have this power, right? You're like, did I make that rain? Like, did I do that? Like with my bad mood? Like, I do remember that, like, just like reading those comics when I was a little kid and thinking like that would be a cool power. Like some of the powers are like, what am I going to do with this? I'm 7, like, but like some of them, like controlling the weather, it's like endless snow days and all of that. Like,
ice skating doesn't seem like a power that I really need to strive for. But when I was a kid, my dad would hold his breath and be like, watch, when I hold my breath, the rain stops. And later I realized we were just going under bridges, but he really fooled us for a long time.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty good.
That's good.
So Michael, you do this really well in Dear Justice League as well, where you have, it's a fun book first and foremost. There's fun adventures going on, but like you were saying before, there's kind of sneaky lessons going on there, right, at the same time. So how do you layer that in? How do you find the balance where you're not getting to the point where you're being too didactic with kids?
Well, I mean, I think the main thing for me is just to tell the story first. You know what I mean? Like, and then maybe you're looking for opportunities, but to, instead of like construct the lesson first and then build the story around it, I want to do the opposite. I want to tell the story. And if there's something else I want to do, that's an element that I can include, but I want that, the arc of it and everything to be, story first, action first, all of that. And for me, I wanted to see Flash and Weather Wizard fight, right? So if you just go in with that in your heart, right? Like, then you can you can talk about, ocean currents and stuff like that. And that was actually like sort of a puzzle-like element to like include that. But ultimately, like, just like what's going to be cool, what's going to be fun for the readers, and just like kind of like Sal said, it's like, it should be the same thing that's cool and fun for you. You know what I mean? Like these kids want to see the superhero and the supervillain fight, and that's what I want to see. You know what I mean? So that's what we did, and that's how we constructed it. And then there's actually a ton of science in there, but it's like a little bit like if you've got an adventure, it's taking place on like the third moon of Jupiter. I really hope Jupiter has 3 moons. I don't know. But like that's the stuff. Those are the details, right? That you're gonna like color the story in with, and it's gonna be still cool and fun, right? But like it's the same sort of thing. Like this is a Flash story, and the fact that there's some science in there, that's the color, the details, the fun. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the way I approach that.
Yeah, I would argue that even having as a writing project, having goals that you have to hit like that actually helps a little bit, because then you're like, I know the points I'm getting to, and I'm just filling in fun to get to this flashback.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%. Yep.
Cool.
So the way this project is put together, you got Mayim Bialik as the editor. How was she as an editor, and was she a monster?
What? Alex,
what? I want to get to the real issues here.
What are you doing? Alex is the least journalistic of all of us. Let's just say that.
I signed just a lot of stuff that said I couldn't say what a complete monster she may have been.
Smart to do
actually,
that.
I mean, yes, she was what you would call sort of our fearless leader in this role, like the big captain. Like we had our editor, also who just told us what we had done wrong on page 3. That was not her so much, it made a lot of mistakes on page 3, right? But
tough page.
Tough page.
She's the big captain, and it mostly was like the like who would be on like a pirate ship? Who would actually beat you? Like if you weren't reefing the sail fast enough, it wouldn't be the captain, right? Like it would be
bosun.
The bosun or someone like that. Yeah. So she was the captain. She was at the helm, steady hand, and obviously so smart and like so just discerning in terms of selecting this stuff and putting the pieces together. But in terms of the actual, the editing and stuff like that, we had, our sort of normal editor and that worked out well because she's used to beating us, right? So then it was it was like specialization of labor there. Yeah.
Now the other thing that you have coming up though is Dear Supervillains, which is a sequel to Dear Justice League. For those who didn't pick up Dear Justice League, that took the form of a bunch of letters that were written to the Justice League, them answering it. It's very sweet, very funny, very cute. But the thing that I think is great about the book is it has an overarching story at the same time. It's not just short stories. Dear Supervillains, obviously you're flipping the script a little bit there. Are you taking the same format? Is it still letters, but people writing, Dear Joker, could you kill me?
Right.
Or...
Yeah. So first of all, the chat.
I don't know. What would you write the Joker? That's what I want to know.
The first mate.
Jokes?
The first mate who would do that on a pirate ship, right? Like first mate who would, And someone says the first mate is the vice principal of ships, which is true. So
yes.
So then. She was the principal and our editor was the vice principal. And so, so Dear Justice League was, letters, very sort of open, honest letters from kids to superheroes, right? So Dear Supervillains, it's letters from kids, but it's a little different. Like you write to Superman, you're going to use your full name, right? You're not too, but it's like you write to, Joker or, Catwoman or someone, you might, maybe use a pseudonym or just like a first name. And it's less of these really like open questing sort of, like seeking answers in a confusing world thing than just like curiosity, why are you so bad? What's that like a little bit? And I call it sort of like a very safe walk on the wild side, right? So on the dark side. Awesome. So you have kids writing in to the Legion of Doom's tip line of evil is what they're writing into. The Legion of Doom tip line of evil, and they are but a little more guarded. And the thing has a very similar structure in that it has the individual letters to individual villains and then sort of a culmination at the end, but a very different tone. So, and that starts with the letters. The letters are more guarded. The villains are less forthcoming, with their answers.
That's so
maybe
cool.
a little more diluted with their sense of self. And like what we see in Dear Justice League is teamwork working, essentially. Like the heroes aren't perfect, but they work together. They make up for each other's flaws. And what we see in Dear Supervillains is more like teamwork not working, right? So like competitive, jealous, deluded. And there's just a little bit more dramatic irony, right? Where the readers know stuff that the characters don't, which is funny because some of the readers will be 6 years old here, but like the villains are adults, but they do not have the most clear-eyed conception of their own, like characters, like, and so, it's just a very similar structure, but just very different tone, very different feel, even down to like the colors. Dear Justice League was bright yellows and blues and reds. This is a lot of really like murky grays and greens and purples. It's a different feel, and it's doing a different thing, sort of in a way that, like, on the surface level is similar, but really it's a very different book.
Now, how many crimes did you commit to get yourself in the headspace of the characters?
Yeah, I mean, I started out like one per chapter. You know what I mean? Like, I was like,
smart.
I want to commit like a Lex kind of crime here, like something cerebral. You know what I mean? Like, and then it just becomes addictive. You might know. You know what I mean? Like,
I love crimes.
Right? You just spend this time outside the lines of polite society, and it's
hard to get back in.
You get caught. You know, New York, NYPD is pretty good, right? So like, you get caught, and you're just like, I'm writing a kid's book. You know what I mean? Like, so you get, you know, like,
let him go.
Always writing a kid's book.
It's fine.
But you know, after like the second or third time, whereas you know, you see that, So
still writing that kid's book, buddy?
Exactly.
When is this coming out? Do you have a publication date for it yet?
I do. In fact, it is April 6th. So it's
great.
coming up. In fact, it was originally it was going to be like October, November, and it got pushed. And I was like, well, you know, it's a bummer. You know, it's going to get pushed. I won't have a book coming out this year, but at least the whole COVID thing will be over by then, right? So that turned out not to be the case. But
awesome. I'm very excited to check it out. Flashbacks, the story is super fun as well.
We talked about Dear Justice League on this show, and it's a great book. So fun.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was on it. It was super fun. I mean, it's really interesting. And Dear Justice League, I love that book. And also, I can't talk about either book without talking about Gustavo Duarte, who's, the artist who's just brilliant. And really, he did such a great job with the heroes, because it's such a dynamic, lively, sort of fun style. But it's also a really good style for the villains. You know what I mean? Because it's really a little like angular and subversive and stuff. And just a fantastic artist. Really fun to work with him again on this. We had a different colorist, Chris Peter, another Brazilian colorist. We had Marcelo Maiolo for the first one. And Wes Abbott, who's just awesome with letters. It was just fun to have to work with the team and come up with this. And I'd be really interested to see people's reactions, because Dear Justice League is a really easy book, to sort of to like, you know what I mean? It's a big hard book. We love these characters. It was kind of a love letter to these characters. In this book, we're doing something different. I mean, it's a little villainous, and it's going to be fun to see how readers react to that.
Yeah. We got a question here in the comments from over on Crowdcast from Kevin. Says, real question for Michael. Is this the original 13 villains of the Legion, or did you pick and choose them from across DC?
Yeah, so we did some picking, and we did some choosing. And it's a little similar with Justice League, you know what I mean? Where you have some core members, you sort of feel like you're not going to write like Justice League without Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And there's an element of that with Legion of Doom. But we definitely did some picking and choosing to construct the team. The only one that honestly was non-negotiable for me was Gorilla Grodd, who is my favorite villain of all time.
Nice.
And I got to write Gorilla Grodd is the longest chapter in the book, which it just happened, I swear. But I got to write this full young Gorilla Grodd adventure, and it was it was just fantastic. But then there was some selection. We wanted some variety in the team, and honestly, Legion of Doom a little less familiar than Justice League in general. So I felt like we had some latitude in who we selected, and it's a fun mix. But I will say that some of the chapters snuck up on me. like Giganta is in the book, and like, you know, the public isn't like, you better put Giganta in your Legion of Doom book or you're gonna have trouble, you know, like, but I love that chapter, and it really snuck up on me. And writing a less familiar villain, it's a lot of open territory, a chance to do something like new, like a new take, and it was really really fun to do that. So it's a mix of some very familiar big name villains, some less prominent villains who were still just a blast to write and contribute to the team dynamic. But, you know, in Dear Justice League, it was the team working together seamlessly, and this is the opposite, right? Like, it's just how not to be a team, which I think is it's very funny, but it's also, and it's a little instructive perhaps, and but it was still the question of getting the right elements, you know. In Dear Justice League, it was to blend. In this one, it was to create a small explosion, right? So,
yeah. Well, very excited to check it out. Congratulations on everything. Congratulations on Flashbacks as well.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Yeah. All right.
Great to see you.
Great to see you, man.
That was great.
Congrats.
Nice to see you again.
All right. I keep cutting people off. But there you go. Michael Northrop. Hard out. Flashbacks out today, as mentioned, April 6th. Dear Supervillains. I was about to say Justice League, but that's wrong. And folks,
now we turn it over to Giancarlo, who's going to play some piano right now.
Yeah, a little.
It's not on.
Wait, we are going to turn to our next section, which is my favorite section because you all make it up. It's your audience question. Yeah, Giancarlo, I'm really disappointed that I still have to do the tech, even though you're on the show.
Honestly,
come on, man. Guy's got a week to get married. Cut him some fucking slack, dude. You're the worst.
All right, fair enough. Speaking of which, wait, we had a question before about the wedding. Pete, I think you asked it right before Michael popped in the stream.
Oh, yeah. I asked you if you really proposed or just Dunkin' Donuts proposed, and you're about to kind of break that down.
I got to do something this week.
Okay. Okay. Oh, yes, we did.
Short answer.
All right. Yeah. There we go. Great. So before we get to your questions, and if you have questions, got an eye on YouTube, drop them in the YouTube comments over there. Over on Crowdcast, I see a bunch of questions and ask a question already, but you can drop them there as well. But first, what are you drinking, Pete? Looks like you're not drinking something deathly today. What's going on?
Pete's drinking Smart right there.
That's right. A little High Life. Subconsciously, I was like, why do I need to go buy the High Life?
Gotcha.
Champagne of beers, yeah.
Champagne of beers.
What does your body feel like not having poison, or as much poison anyway? Running
well, it misses it. I need, I need it at all times. But that's you gotta mix it up every once in a while. I'll drink that tomorrow night.
At your local Mountain Dew store, are they worried about you?
Yeah.
They're like, hey, where the fuck are you, customer?
What about you, Giancarlo? Are you drinking anything tonight? Or are you
I have
Dunkin' Donuts coffee? Oh,
Blue Moon here.
Nice. Nice.
Ooh, nice.
Belgian white.
White.
I got some Southern Tier New Juice IPA going on.
New Juice?
New Juice, NU.
And
stuff.
I just finished off my last Elvis juice from last week.
What's with the juice?
Love juice. Jumping over a bit over to Five Boroughs Pilsner, a lovely light pills.
Excellent. Very exciting. Let's jump into some questions here. The first one we've got is for Giancarlo. Question for Giancarlo.
Come on. This is our time to shine.
Good.
We've been talking for an hour. Let's keep talking. Question for Giancarlo from Eduardo. What is your favorite CBC moment live show?
Ooh.
What is my favorite live show?
Comic Book Club.
Comic Book Club.
Yeah. The show that you're on.
When we used to meet live every Tuesday.
Right. We used to do that back in the day.
That's a good question. I'm realizing it's been a while that I've been teching for you guys.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
Long amount of time.
I don't know. The one that just instantly jumped into my mind, I didn't really watch Gotham, but you guys had that episode of Gotham with Bruce and Alfred. And that was a lot of
the two of them together. I mean, Alfred is what a character. That dude was hilarious.
It's tragic that they actually killed the actor when Alfred died in the comic book.
Dude, that is not cool, bro.
Yeah, Kevin mentions here Sean Pertwee played Alfred and Davine Mazouz played Bruce. They were both very funny, very on it.
They were.
That was
They
a
were
good
like
film.
buddies, and they're different
great.
ages, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Question here from YouTube. Nelson Martinez says, have you guys checked out The Little Things yet? If so, what do you think? I'm thinking about seeing it in a theater. First of all, very brave of you, Nelson.
I've got a lot to say about this movie.
Oh, here we go.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. All right, first off, the lineup is unbelievable. Okay. You see the preview and you think this is going to be amazing. It's Denzel teaming up with the fucking, what's his face?
Rami Malek.
Yeah, Rami Malek. I was going to say.
It's got a fucking awesome lineup. Denzel Washington, bunch of other guys.
Other people I don't know the names of. And I'm not
I
interested.
totally blanked on it. Because I almost said, Mr. Robot, guys. But anyway, so you're like, oh man, they're going to take down fucking creepy ass Jared Leto, you fucking creepy guy. And you're like, this is going to be so great. You sit there.
On, just to check, Pete, are you about to spoil the end of the movie?
Yeah, don't spoil
Yes,
it.
I am going to spoil
it.
No,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
don't
Yeah.
waste your time. Don't waste your time. You can't get it fucking back. What the reveal is, I was so fucking pissed. And it was just such a retcon. It's like, we don't need more movies about shitty cops. We know what's going on. We don't need this right now.
I did watch that movie, and I agree it wasn't great. Jared Leto's hair was so moist, problematically moist throughout the movie. And yes, Joe in the comments is talking about Natalie Morales in the movie, and she's in the movie. She's in the movie not very much. There's a great, I think I saw her on Twitter talking about how she was shooting this at the same time she was shooting something else and was doing days and nights, and then a ton of her stuff got cut from The Little Things. Awful. Bummer. But she's good in it for the moment she is, and it's a little bit of a letdown. The point of the movie is a little off. It's not what you want. It's not a satisfying point.
It's
but
not what you want.
They do execute the story that they're trying to tell.
Yeah. Now, I haven't seen it, but based on the title, it's like an Ant-Man style movie where they shrink down and fight crime. The Little Things.
Yep, tiny cops.
Okay.
That would have been better.
Would
have been better.
I'm into it. I'll watch it later tonight. Question from Kevin. If you got carte blanche to have a theme wedding or vow renewal, what would your dream theme be and how would you do it? I think for me, probably Dunkin' Donuts, and I'd do it in a Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru. You go now, Giancarlo.
Oh, man. Oh, God. How about John Carpenter's The Thing?
Ooh.
Oh,
Jesus.
I love
Wow.
that. That's intense and
That's a
terrible.
terrible
but I
idea.
love it. Just invite a couple of your close friends and slowly kill them off over the course of the wedding.
Yeah, that's fun. Pete, what do you say? All right, I mean, there's a lot of, obviously you got like two married men, one almost engaged man. He's not engaged yet, but he has to get married in 2 weeks. So
Yeah, right.
he's he's got his own problem.
I would like American Gladiator style, where like the guests got to come in the door and I get to beat them with like padded sticks and shit.
Why are all these wedding things about killing your guests?
Yeah, and let me tell
Seems
you,
like
Pete,
a fun thing to do.
that feels very specifically not about your partner. So I would rethink that.
Yeah.
I would rethink that.
Like a battle royale style theme.
You didn't mention the bride at all in this potential future wedding that you're talking
I'm
about.
fighting everyone for the honor to marry my bride. What is not romantic about
You're
that?
bringing competitors in, like winner weds at the end of the day.
No, it's a horrible idea, but hey,
Yeah.
you gotta
Just
throw
clear, you're
things
saying that
around.
your potential bride
spitballing.
has no control over her own destiny.
Exactly.
Right,
All
Pete?
right. Oh,
Interesting.
man.
It's
You
very
know,
anti-feminist.
you try to make
Pete.
a joke and to have some fun, and it blows up in your face.
Yep, you're talking to the wrong quote unquote friends.
Thank you, Justin. I agree.
I would throw out water skiing, just a water skiing
Just
ceremony.
water skiing. I mean, I will say this is not like a huge dream, but one thing we looked into for our actual wedding was Museum of Natural History, because that's me and my wife's one of our favorite place in the entire world. You can get like married under the
Did
whale.
you do like
or
a
something
first
like
date there or something?
No, we didn't do a first date, but that's like that really is a Museum of Natural History in New York is one of my favorite places in the world. When I first moved to New York, I would just go there and hang out sometimes.
Oh, so you're just like a couple of big dorks? Is that what the deal is?
Oh my God, who are you?
But it's too expensive. It was too expensive to get married there.
It would be too expensive.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, if you flash
instead, we got married at a place where the guy later was arrested for scamming people for weddings. So,
I know that.
was a fun night, though. That was a fun night.
It was a fun night. Question over here from YouTube. Scott Carpenter says, "BoothMan, what are some of your favorite comics?"
Ooh.
You got a couple of them behind you, right?
All right behind me. You know what? I've been thinking about this a lot because I've been reading a lot of my stuff sitting here through the pandemic. And I managed to collect all of Lone Wolf and Cub.
Wow.
And that one, I can't get past that one. I reread that one over the pandemic, and it's so good. And it doesn't sound like it would be good because the status quo doesn't really ever like upend. It's just like they encounter another kind of guy that tries to kill them, and Ogami Ito kills them, and then they move on. That's kind of the whole book until it ramps up towards the end. But it's so good.
What's cool about that is if once Dunkin' Donuts gives you a baby, you'll be able to sort of live that on your own.
Yeah, sorry, they call them munchkins, Justin.
Munchkin, yeah. Giancarlo and Munchkin.
They're human children, though, right?
Yeah,
that's why I don't order them.
Yeah, they're munchkins because they're like the whole of the human. They come out of the whole.
Oh my God,
Alex, wait, I'm interested in this. Keep talking.
I'm trying to think of
who
what
are
else.
you?
Do you have any photos of what you're describing, Alex?
Yeah, hold on.
Gotham Central is always good.
Great answer.
What else? Fear Agent. I like Fear Agent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, those are that real crazy Jonah Hex run.
Yeah.
That was
Justin Gray.
Justin Gray and
dude.
Before New 52. I managed to collect all of that too. Oh, and the other one is Akira. I also have collected all of Akira. It's weird. I have they released Akira here in the States at like in the 90s, like shortly after the movie came out. Mm-hmm. And I guess Marvel had some help in it. And this version that they released here in the States, they actually released it in like
Wolverine in it.
Yeah, with Wolverine. They released it in like single issues. And they were all in color, and all the coloring was based off the movie. And when I first read Akira, it was actually that version. And I hunted them all down, and I have like all 38 issues of that. And that's probably like my my holy grail in my collection.
Oh, nice.
Great answer.
Yeah. We got a question here from Pablo over on Crowdcast. This is Black History Month. What's your favorite hero of color? And what did that character teach you about them as a whole?
Ooh, interesting.
Well, it's tough. I mean, I'm going back between Black Panther and Luke Cage, but I've got to go Luke Cage just because for me, Luke Cage is all about heart and doing what's right and not like leaving to go do bigger. You know what I mean? There are so many people right in front, right here that need help. Like, why leave to go? You know, so like I really appreciated Luke Cage for that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the other history of the DC universe has been so good.
It's been great.
That sort of overtakes a lot of what I was thinking. The first hero that jumped to mind it was Night Thrasher from New Warriors. Oddly, even though he rode a skateboard sort of randomly, like I feel like he was a really well-written character in sort of the main run of that.
Yeah. One to throw out. I mean, I think I'd go Luke Cage as well, just because Luke Cage is awesome, and in particular, like. I really like married Luke Cage, married to Jessica Jones.
Oh yeah,
Kid. there's something about that. It shows a completely different side to him and makes him a completely different character in the Marvel universe. There are so many characters that it's like, yeah, we have a baby and then that baby is now an adult and we can kind of move on. But the fact that they kept that at least for so long has made him feel so unique and different and gives a softness to a character he doesn't have otherwise. But the other one that I wanted to shout out that we talked about a lot here on the show, though it's a recent one, is Stealth from Image Comics.
Oh, great call.
So good. This is, if you didn't read it, it's about a older character that maybe he's experiencing dementia, maybe he's getting a little bit of Alzheimer's. He used to be like a very Dark Hawk hero back in the day, and his son is trying to track him down because he just can't see between the villains and the good guys anymore, so he's going a little wild in the city. And it's a really beautiful, really heartbreaking story, but that ties up with this very neat sci-fi twist at the end that works very, very well. Great book.
And while we're talking about books, we talk about a lot in that same vein. Excellence is an excellent book that very much is just a great book, but it's also about blackness at its core, and it's just a great read.
Yeah, that's an awesome book as well. Let's move back to YouTube. Yes.
Yes.
It looked like you were going
I've been playing a lot of video games during the pandemic, and they just released this insanely amazing Miles Morales Spider-Man game. And just seeing all like the kind of company synergy with Marvel and Miles Morales over like the past like 2 years, specifically like after Spider-Verse kind of blew up and became this bigger thing, and the way they're just kind of following up with that character, it's so well done. And I know for me personally, this Spider-Man game they did was really interesting because it's a sequel to the past Spider-Man game that they just did, which was like it's its own kind of universe in a lot of ways, but it pulls from a lot of like classic Spider-Man stuff. But this past game took Miles and moved him, was kind of his origin game. And they put him in Harlem instead of Brooklyn, and people were kind of really upset about that for obvious reasons. But it was really cool for me to play through because I'm from East Harlem. That's where I grew up, and that's where the game's kind of set. I'm also Hispanic, and just kind of playing through that game and kind of having that experience, like it's weird how they set that up so well in that game to really capitalize on like the location switch since it's in Harlem, and just seeing that character get like his real comeuppance is really cool. And it's going to be interesting to see how the MCU kind of plays with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. A couple of other comments from the comments. Joe says, Static Shock, the TV series for me. Ben the Border Collie says, Joe from Far Sector. The series is approaching Rach. If you haven't been reading Far Sector, we've been talking about it incessantly. Best Green Lantern book out now. One of the best ever. Jade Citizen says, Night Thrasher's Inception and original pitch by Dwayne McDuffie is a fascinating deep dive. An easy reader, right on the pulse of America, Monica Rambeau. I mean that sincerely, like right now. Yeah, it's ridiculous that we haven't mentioned it. And also over on YouTube, CC Unit says, for me, the Static Shock cartoon was so good, so subtle, so fun. It's coming to HBO Max. Also says, wish I could have seen these guys live. I would have loved to go to NYC and make a fun weekend out of it. Listening for 3 years now, maybe 4. Thank you, CC Unit. That's awesome.
Yes.
So great to hear. And Pete, you're going to be binging Static Shock on your illegal HBO Max account?
I hope so, yeah. As long as Stray Bullet doesn't cut me off, it should be all right.
You shouldn't say that on our podcast.
Oh, okay.
But that's all right.
We'll just cut that out. We'll just cut that out.
Yeah, we'll cut that out of the live.
Definitely cut that out. Cut the live.
Yep.
Cut the feed.
This is from Joe. Do you all think members of the Avengers and Justice League should kill folks when in a Justice League or Avengers book title? What do you think about that?
Should the Justice League kill people?
Yeah. I mean, I guess the idea is like, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the idea is like, the Punisher is on Avengers now. Should he still kill people? That sort of thing.
Right.
I assume a hero who already kills people, if they end up on the big title team, should they keep with it or should they tamp it down?
I feel like as long as they address it well enough, This is a bad example for this, but I think of that Uncanny X-Force book where, spoilers, they kind of kill the Apocalypse kind of kid in the first like arc, and then the second arc, or like the next issue, there's a great issue where it's all fallout because they all think it was wrong, and Deadpool has that great moment where he just tells off the whole team. Like, as long as they kind of address it and deal with it, I think why not?
I mean, for me, it's like, why would you invite that? If you're, it's like when you're hiring someone for a job, it's like straight up killer. Okay. Maybe not for us, but if you do welcome them in, then that does open the door for that as a way that you do business.
I guess this is actually a slightly different question because clarifying here in the comments, should Captain America and Superman murder aliens? And I say yes. They're not human. They gotta go.
Oh, wow, man.
I feel like it's kind of tough because you kind of break the kind of reality of it if you go too deep with it. Because that's just kind of the nature of it. They're gonna ruin a bunch of lives, and you don't really think about it too much. But the more you kind of focus, I'm thinking of the Adam Strange book that's happening right now.
Yeah.
You kind of start to break kind of the kind of illusion of superheroics the more you focus on it.
I do think I always appreciate that moment in superhero books where somebody not thinking punches through one and they're like, it's cool, guys, this is robots. It's robots.
Yeah.
We're all good here.
It happens constantly. And I'm like, okay, because to the point, it's about the level setting and the morality and philosophy that's laid out there. Like, Superman's like, we don't kill. The Justice League doesn't kill. So then, they can't kill. But then you read a book like Invincible where it's like, they're all killing people all the time. And it's like, those are the rules. It doesn't change. It's the change that would be tricky. If the Justice League in the next month's issue was like, we're going to start killing people now, it would be like something like, what?
Yeah, but the problem I run into is when you start murdering robots and stuff, then somebody still sends you a bill. You know what I mean? You still got to pay for it. So
this sounds like a personal experience. Pete, how many Roombas have you slaughtered? Or what are you talking about?
Oh, man, don't get me started on those things. They're spying on us, guys. Spying on us.
Great.
Conspiracy theorist, Pete.
Cool. Let's see if we have any other questions going on here. This is another one from Pablo, and probably a good one to wrap up on. What is your take on DC's future state so far? We have been talking about every single issue of Future State on our Stack podcast.
You're covering
Wednesday at 9 a.m. We are all over it, and I think we've really liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the most part, it's great, and it's getting into like weirder sections of the DC universe in sort of an Elseworlds way, and like bringing in new creators.
New art. And, it's been fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
This week's issues that came out today, there's so many good, weird stories in this stack of books. It's really fun.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks for the question, Pablo. And that is it for your audience questions.
Whoop, whoop.
Woo-hoo. And now it is time for our next section, which is trivia. And for that, we're going to turn it over to Pete LePage.
All right.
Pete LePage.
This is the part we get back. Oh, Easy Rider's got first hand up already. That's
Easy
nice.
Rider got the emoji loaded.
Easy Reader. My fault. Easy Reader. But yeah, it's an opportunity to win $25 free dollars to Midtown Comics Online. I'm going to read you a question, listen to all three possible answers. Get all three questions right. $25 will be yours, Easy Reader.
Are we inviting Easy Reader into the stream?
Easy Reader is being invited into the stream as we speak. And here is Easy Reader. Hello.
Hey!
Hi, guys.
What's
How
up,
are you?
Easy Reader?
Glasses and beard. Check. Doing great, man.
Good. I feel like a real outsider this week.
Yeah.
Easy Reader, you got a stacked bookcase left.
Yeah, man. That looks awesome. Back there.
That's one book away from falling over that bookcase.
Yeah.
All right, so Pete's going to take it away from here.
Yep. All right, so today's trivia is on topical comic news and a small nod to legend Alex Trebek. All right, here we go.
Alex Albin.
No, never Alex Albin. All right, here we go. Question number. Oh my God! Don't say things like that. All right, question number 1. DC announced a collaboration with metal bands for the upcoming Dark Knight's Death Metal Band Edition. One of those bands being, is it A, Skinny Puppy, B, Megadeth, or is it C, Melissa McCarthy? So it's either A or it's B.
I'll try B.
He is correct. Megadeth is going to be in the Dark Knight's Death Metal Band Edition. I mean, why not, right?
You help from the crowd with these metal questions.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm glad to help.
Let her play.
All right, here we go. Question number 2. 25 years later, IDW is bringing what hit back in comic book form? Is it A, Transformers Beast Wars, B, Transformers Generations, or is it C, LL Cool J? So it's either A, and you are closer to $25, or you could pick B and be completely wrong.
I wish it was LL Cool J, but I'll go with A.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
I
He hasn't gone anywhere. You don't need to bring LL back. He's right here.
I like how hard he hit the J on LL Cool J, Pete. I appreciate that as a J name.
All right. All right. Here we go. For Marvel Heroes Reborn, who is the only one who has memory of the world the way it is? Is it A, Blade, B, Bruce Banner, or is it C, John Forsyth? So it's either A, Blade, or you could pick B and be Bruce Banner.
Blade.
And yes, you were correct. And yes, right. Captain, I picked a name you would know. You wouldn't see coming. John Forsyth's up in your grill piece, Kev.
You threw me off there.
This is an entirely unrelated thing. Easy Reader, thank you so much for jumping into the stream. You just won a $25 gift card to Midtown Comics. Shoot us an email at comicbookclublive@gmail.com. We'll get that right at you. Thanks for coming to the stream.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
All right.
Thanks for coming, Easy Reader. And let me just briefly throw it. Let me just, if anyone doesn't know, let me recount the details of the interaction that just happened.
Please.
Pete handles trivia. He developed a second quiz with the third answers amounting to a movie that is featuring another actor. In this case, Alex Trebek, actor being used very loosely. In our comment section, Kevin guesses the third actor because Pete is very predictable. Pete has then taken the gauntlet away from Kevin and is now putting in basically non-actors in to try to fool Kevin from guessing the third actor to win the quiz before Pete can even finish the second quiz within his first quiz.
Yeah.
Is
Kevin,
that accurate?
Just to mention, said Cameron Diaz, Pete, I want you to be honest here. Was your first thought for the third question Cameron Diaz?
Nope.
Liar.
Yeah.
He'll
not lie.
You fucking liar.
But he was right. It is the 2000 classic Charlie's Angels.
But wait a second here. Let me just be clear. You were like, I'm going to do a quiz about Alex Trebek. And the answer is Charlie's A nod, okay. And the answer is Charlie's Angel. And because the actors you chose were who?
Alex Trebek played himself in that movie, and it was a nice part.
Sure,
so
we all know that. Justin has some questions, though.
Okay,
what were the three actors you named?
It was Melissa McCarthy, LL Cool J, and someone had it right. It would have been Bill, first stand-up guy. It would have been Bill Murray, but I put John Forsyth because that made me think of Riverdale.
Pete had a clench. Interesting. When I think of Charlie's Angels, I always think of the stars, Melissa McCarthy,
LL Cool J, and John Forsyth, of course. All right, there we go. As we all know, tomorrow is New Comic Book Day. Unless you're talking about DC Comics, they're already out. But what are you looking forward to, Pete?
Well, I'll tell you what. The surprise thing that I'm really looking forward to is Fear Case #1. And then, of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Jenica, #4 of 6.
Justin, what about you? What are you looking forward to?
A lot of good stuff out there this week. I'm going to throw it out to Runaways.
Wow.
Gotcha, Alex, #33. Super fun book. They really are it's just the way they've taken this story is so fun and so surprising and really true to the characters in a way that I just didn't expect. And I love the book.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it out to the Comic Book History of Animation #3 from IDW.
Oh, wow.
We had Fred Van Lente and Ryan Dunleavy on the show just this last week. It was such a pleasure to talk to them. And this book is great. It's just fun, informative, right in my wheelhouse. I am having a blast reading it. And you can check out all of those reviews, or most of those reviews at least, in our Stack podcast Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Oh, before Giancarlo, sorry, is there anything you're looking forward to? I don't know.
Alex.
How dare you, Alex? I'm actually a little behind on my books because I get them delivered. They just get delivered weird. I'm not all up to date. But I think I've been really enjoying the Walking Dead Deluxe.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a new issue. They just switched. They just did the artist switch. And I was wondering if the colors were going to kind of change with that. And the last issue, this looks so good with the new artist. And it's just been really good. All the back matter in that book has been really interesting to read. So I've been
and let's go around. And are there any donuts we're looking forward to tomorrow?
Yeah.
In The Walking Dead?
Yeah. Well, actually, Giancarlo, other than getting married, is there anything you want to plug? Anything people should check? Go to
Not
check you out?
really. I'm just kind of surviving during this pandemic like the rest of us.
Sure.
I don't know. Just trying to keep my eyes on the other end of this when we all come out of it. But
are we all going to your Dunkin' Donuts to watch you get married? Like, what's
I really
up?
thought you were going to say, are we all going to come out of this?
Alex, dark place.
The reality. No, I think the whole deal with this wedding is that it's going to be COVID kind of free and like socially distant. So I don't think anybody's going to be there in that regard. Like it'll just be us and the Dunkin' people. We're going to tip the people at Dunkin' like furiously. We're just going to throw 20s at them.
That's awesome.
But if one of us were to get a job at this local Dunkin' Donuts,
Yeah, exactly.
we could definitely attend in that case.
Yes.
All right.
I'm so excited for you. That's amazing. And folks,
Congratulations.
that is it for this week's show. A couple of things before we go. First of all, thank you to our amazing guests for coming on the show. Thank you to Giancarlo. Thank you to BoothMan for coming on the entire show.
Prime!
Yeah, great to see you.
Great to see you. Also, thank you to Sal Abbinanti. You check out The Hostage on Kickstarter, Michael Northrop, Flashbacks, and Dear Supervillains. Check out those. Next week on the show, we're going to have two more amazing guests for you. Chip Zdarsky and Jason Liu are going to be here from Comicsology's Afterlift. I'm sure we'll sneak in some other questions for Chip Zdarsky.
We're going to probably throw some Daredevil questions in there.
Just a couple. We'll see what
and
happens.
finally get a straight answer about is Foggy Nelson cool or not, and I think we know the way that's going to go.
This is going to go real well. A couple of other podcasts. We do Riverdale After Dark. Our Riverdale podcast goes up Wednesdays. Umbrella Podcademy is starting to wrap up. Our Umbrella Academy podcast going on Thursdays. Marvel Vision, our Marvel podcast, currently on WandaVision on Fridays. American Godcast, our American Gods podcast on Sundays. Patreon.com/Comic Book Club to support the show. iTunes, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice. On Twitter @Comic Book Live. ComicBookClubLive.com for this podcast and so many more. Until next time.
So many more.
Good night.
Good night, guys. Thanks, BoothMan Prime.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Giancarlo. See
Yeah,
you around.
Don't forget to propose.
Bye.
Bye.